Rich and Ryan welcome you to the R&R Dust Stuff podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 35 of R&R Does Stuff. Hey, it's like a roundish number. Do you think I never would have thought we would have got to here.
Is that a prime number too? I don't know. Was that prime?
No, it's divisible by 5, so
definitely not prime. Yeah, you're right. I don't know math. Why am I even bringing up math? I don't know maths. No, it is a good round number. And you know what? I would really like us to do something special for episode 42.
Oh.
What could we do? Dear listener, like and subscribe, comment below. What should we do for episode 42? That would be really good.
Would be really good. We'll have to ponder that and see if we can come up with something creative. And hopefully by then, we don't forget we mentioned it in this episode that we would do something.
You know, that is really funny. And that's like, dear listener, I was thinking about you. I have a status update for you based on the Volkswagen here at the end. But yes, I was thinking of the dear listeners and going, you know what? I need to kind of bring them up to date on that saga.
Yeah, definitely. I want to hear about it because I have not heard about it yet. So I'm looking forward to this as well. For me, though, lately, I've gotten all of your packages finally.
Yes.
From the barn find, whatever, shed find, and I got boxes opened.
Dude, the consoles. I was really worried. I tried to wrap them this way and that way, and I tried to lay them to where they had some support with each other. Did you cut the bubble wrap? How'd the consoles do?
Oh, the consoles work great. I actually didn't cut the bubble wrap. I just pulled off the blue tape.
Okay.
That worked pretty well. So there are 2 boxes of stuff, of packing material here. So when you're out here in like 2 weeks, so whatever you buy at the System Source flea market, we have packing material to send it back to your house.
I think that's a great idea. By the way, should I bring cash for that, or do people PayPal, or how do they pay each other?
I don't know. What about everything? I would bring some amount of money just to have it. I think that's what I used last time. I just handed somebody.
I'll bring cash. That's how we do our DFW things. Everything seems to be kind of just cash based.
Yep, and everything came in pretty good. Some box had a little bit of crushing in the corner. We had 1 casualty. None of the machines. It was unfortunately one of the Atari spinny Pong controllers.
Oh, yeah. Paddles.
One of the paddles took some damage at the button, and the plastic broke out.
Oh.
So it was in a pile of cables, and it must have just moved around and something smushed into it.
I wedged it in there. I kind of wedged it with things, and so that caught me. Sorry about that, bud. But I think there were 4 paddles, so you got plenty of paddles also. Yeah,
there were. I think 3 are fine. I was like, there's little black pieces of plastic, and I'm opening things, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. Yeah. And then I found that.
I thought those would be good. Sorry about that, bud.
You're fine. And one of the keys off one of the 2000 keyboards popped off. The key's there, found it. The spring, I don't know where that's at.
You're never finding that spring, bro. It's gone. It's gone. Well, you know, it's funny you talk about keyboards because I know you've been sending me some updates on your keyboard project. How is it coming together, man?
It's functional. Last night I had a little bit of a hiccup, and I'll get to that, but it is functional, working. It's been a month process. This really has been. It's for the Amiga 600. This little guy, to visualize for everybody. It is sitting behind me on the shelf, running currently just for Rich's thing. He really likes this little 600, and the more I'm playing around with it, it's actually kind of a neat little box.
It
is. But there are 3 versions of the keyboard. I only thought there were 2. I was wrong. And of course, I have the uncommon version in here. So I had a row of keys that didn't function, and there's going to be a blog entry. I've actually started it. It's going to talk in detail of what I did and have some written stuff to go with this. If I have it done by the time we post this episode, I'll put it in there. Otherwise, we'll bring it up in a future episode and I'll put it there. So with the keyboard, this one I had one row of keys missing. Like I forget what it was, but it was like an F9, a plus key, a bracket, that whole column down there. And how the Amigas work is that there are a column and then a row. So when you hit a key, it connects both of those. And that actually, so it can tell what the key is you've pressed. And it's like, all right, I took the membrane out, tried to find the circuit that was jacked up, and it was like, nope, this ain't happening. And even if I do find it, I don't know how I'm going to fix it because it's a plastic membrane with all the circuit stuff in it inside of that plastic. I'm like, where am I going to solder to?
Yeah.
So I was like, nah, this isn't happening. So there are two types of, there are really three. There's a green and a blue membrane. Well, my membrane's green, so you make sure you get the same one that you had before because the layout of the keyboard's a little different. If you get the wrong one, you're going to have connections where the keyboard keys may not be there. So like most of the keys will work, but there'll be a couple because there's not a spot for that key to hit underneath it. Like, cool. So I just went and said Amiga 600 green membrane. Cool. 2 weeks later, hey, I have this membrane, plug it in. This is fantastic. 3 of the keys don't work. Like, why?
There's multiple green ones?
Yes, there are multiple green ones. There's an A and a B version of the green one.
Oh.
I'm like, well, that's annoying. And I'm like, why do these not work? And this is, I got a good hour or two into this going, what the heck? Why? And I'm using, my test meter and I'm testing the circuits. I'm like, well, it should work. Why is it not? And then for some dumb reason, I just hold the other one up to it. And it's like, wait, there's 3 keys that are in different spots. The heck's up with that? And then I'm doing real research and I'm like, yeah, the most common version is the B version. And I'm looking at the part number on the membrane and like, I have the A version. Of course I do, right?
Yeah.
Of course. So I found a place in somebody in England makes a green membrane that's both A and B. He added the 3 extra spots. So there are just 2 spots for that key that overlaps the A and the B version. It works in either one.
Nice.
It wasn't bad. It was like $25-$30. But I do have an extra B version that I'm like, I have nothing to do with it. I don't have a 600 for it to go in, but whatever.
Meetup giveaway.
Yeah, it was another. I spent $60 instead of $30. Got that in there. Bam, we're good to go.
Yes.
It's fantastic. Super happy with that. Except the keyboard actually snaps into the top of the case. It doesn't sit on anything like the 500.
Oh no.
Oh yes. And then first of all, I thought it was fine because all of the things, or so I thought, were actually there.
All the snaps, right?
They're all there.
Yeah.
The big ones are there. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, there's a little spacer one on either side. For mine, the one side is snapped off.
Oh.
Didn't even notice it until I was playing a game the other night, and I'm pushing down on the right arrow key in the corner, and it's not springing back up right. And I'm like, I really thought this worked before I put it together. What the heck? So I pull the lid off, or to unscrew the screw, because there should be 4 screws in the bottom. There is only 1 because that's all it had. So I got to get some more screws. Pull it up, and I'm like moving around a little bit. I'm like, boink, it pops up, and I'm like hitting it, and it's working. And I'm like, why does it not work when I screw it? What does it hit? Yeah, well, then that's when I found this little spacer thing. It's got to just be a couple millimeters wide, and it comes down just enough to hold that keyboard in the exact spot. So I got creative. I could have 3D printed like this little plastic thing, but I took some paper, folded it up a couple times, and put it where that spacer was, and then scotch taped it to the bottom of the board because it's metal on the bottom, just to hold it in place. Pop it in, works fine.
That's like my double stick to help keep the A500 closed. I put some double stick in there, just push it together.
Exactly. That's what we're doing. I'm like, it's been great since.
That's
That was
awesome.
last night. I was all kinds of mad. I'm like, why does this not work? I don't want to take this apart again. This is pain,
I know.
you know. And I'm like, "Huh?" So yeah, that's just been an ordeal, but it's been working relatively well. And you know, you got the little screen blanker, and it's playing
Yeah.
chess against itself right there.
Well, I have first right of refusal. When you're ready to get rid of that, you have to call me
Yes,
to buy it from you because that is so cute.
it is very cute. So, but I hear you're having some
Oh
keyboard
my God,
problems
dude.
too.
Dude, I don't even want to talk about keyboards. But yes, the SX64, I have now found out the GeoCities instructions are just wrong. So the
Oh
old
no.
instructions I found, there's just things aren't right. And then so I tried theirs right away. Didn't work. So then I went to the internets, Lemon 64, some other places. People go, it can work. And then they started talking about some of the pins aren't lined up how the GeoCity site said. So then I go back out and start testing that. And Ryan, I think I solved my problem today in the sense of how I'm going to move
Oh,
forward. I was
okay.
using little Arduino wires where one end is a pin and the other end, or one's male, one's female. It's the best way to put it, right?
Yeah,
One's
yeah.
a pin, one's a sleeve for a pin to go in. And I've
100%.
been putting the pins on the 64 side and then using the square little female to go to the pins on the SX64 side.
Sure.
Dude, wiring that up every time is a nightmare because sometimes they slide off. Sometimes
Oh
some
yeah.
aren't long enough. Sometimes some I had to make by putting two wires together and then be able to make it to where I can do it. And I was doing another test of a pattern today because then I started looking at the end of my DB25 and where
Mhm.
they say pin one is not what the instructions that I originally looked at said where pin one is. Now, back when Commodore used this, they didn't need to follow a standard. So their pin one could definitely have been pin 25. They did not need to follow a DB25 standard. They could have made their pin one whatever they wanted. So then I started rotating all my versions of ideas the opposite way. And
Yeah.
I've just been driving myself nuts. All of it's working in some fashion. None of it works right. And I've decided what I'm doing is when we're done here, I'm going to go get my drum. I went through my old AV parts. Not only do I have male and female pins and blank headers, I've got DB25 cable. So I'm going to take one that's already made that I like, and I'm going to shave the sides off so I can fit it in the back of the SX or the underneath area of the SX64. And then I'm going to cut the wire and I'm going to put pins on the damn wires to where now when it's time to move them around, I can just go one place. I can just do this and kind of pull one pin out, push it in a new spot, pull a pin out, push it in a new spot without worrying about the other end of the cable coming unplugged. And I can start working the matrix. Why does A show up? Well, that means row and column are working properly. Why is S showing up as this? That means I'm doing this in the wrong row and column. So I kind of start drilling down on what the problem is and have a much easier way of reconnecting when I want to reconnect. And then when it does work, I'll just have the cable ready to go. Oh, I even started questioning the cable I bought off the internet, whether it would really work. I was like, is this XX64 cable I bought even good? Is it the cable's fault? And so I just had to take a break, dude. But I'm going to get the answer. I've got a good troubleshooting method coming up.
Does the bottom of the SX64, it has a DB25 connector? That's what the keyboard plugs into?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's using a lot of pins then.
It doesn't use all the pins. It drops at least 4, it looks like. Maybe 11 when you talk about, maybe 5. I mean, maybe 5 when we talk about shift lock not being needed. You know what I mean? There's something wrong with the way shift lock works on the SX64 compared to the Commodore 64. I can't remember what it is.
Do you have like a diagram of like the pin locations and what they actually do?
I thought I did. And that's where I did. I made a nice little Google Doc, which shows pin 1 goes to pin 2. Like the pin 1 of 64 should go to pin 2 of SX64. And pin 2 should go into 3. And then we start following 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way to 20. They just go in order like a waterfall. But that's where I'm going. Maybe something's wrong with my SX64 cable. I didn't start toning. This was my last brain thought today when I went back to try the reverse pattern. And I went, maybe this cable's bad. Maybe it has nothing to do with it. Maybe I am getting the right pattern, but my cable isn't right. So that's when I just said I need to take a break. And I'm going to make a new master cable that I tone, that I put the pins on, and it works beautifully. And then if this does work, I actually got the cable I need to finish the project.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was wondering if you actually found like an old diagram from Commodore that actually had a breakout of that connector, and they actually pointed towards what pins or what.
I didn't look to see if they showed it as a DB25 representation, Ryan.
Then you can look at the actual image that they have, and they say this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and then you actually know what it's supposed to be, because you can then go get the schematic breakout of the 64 and go, this is blah 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 blah, and then make sure they go to the right places, because you're kind of like throwing darts and guessing right now.
Well, I'm reversing what I've written down, and then I've also tried a secondary method and reverse the secondary method that I saw online. And I did look at those schematics. But the thing is when they said pin 1 on the SX64 side, I assumed it was the pin 1 everybody in the one document I got that said there was a pin 1, when in really the one document, if you look at the DB25 standard, or the standard, is pin 25.
Right, that's why I was looking for a schematic of that image.
I need to find.
I've seen those. It was like, here's the DB25 connector. I'm drawing it in the air, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, pin 1 is here. Then we go across and then around, or do we horseshoe around, or how does this actually work? So that'd be something for you to look at afterwards. And I'll be very interested, and I know our listener will as well, of what did we end up doing? How did you get it solved? Because I know you're going to.
Yeah.
It's just going to take you some time, and your head's going to hurt.
I know. Yeah, I'm supposed to be making a follow-up video that now is 3 weeks late because of my own IRL issues. And, I got one thing dumped on YouTube for this, and I'm supposed to be doing a follow-up. But I'm just not ready because I'm just not done. And so when I get this to where the cable works, then I'll finish my follow-up and have it documented and make a proper document that shows this is pin 1 on this side, this is pin 1 on this side, kind of to help make that better.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that plays out and hearing more about that. I know you'll get that.
Dude, I just need to, we are closing the chapter on that conversation. Ryan, talk about something helpful and fun that's coming up, not all these keyboard drama.
Right. Well, the keyboard drama has helped us get to the fun. Oh, so I know we talked about a little bit ago, we'll link again. I'm doing my meetup here in Northern Virginia on Star Wars Day, May the 4th.
Oh.
So, which is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
So I pretty much have Amigas and an Atari 2600. That's kind of the swim lane that I have, right, for my computer. So it's not a big choice. It's what Amiga am I going to take, not what computer am I going to take, right?
600.
So I am planning on taking the 600.
Yes!
It is working. It is clean. I've been playing with it on and off over the weekend. It's been a lot of fun. It's actually pretty neat. So I'm going through and looking at what software I can put on it. This is almost a base 600. The only add-on to it is the 1 meg belly slot, gives it 2 meg of RAM. That's the only thing in it currently. I did order a 4 megabyte RAM PCMCIA card, which should be here, I think, tomorrow from the day we're recording this. That should give me another 4 meg of RAM if I plug it in the slot. So I'll have
That's excellent.
So it's pretty cool. So I'm looking at a lot of my Amigas, I'll use a program called WHD Load, which will automatically kick the right version of the Kickstart and run the program and the game and all that stuff. I am using the Amiga OS 3.1, which is the latest version Commodore did before they folded, and looking for games, mostly games, that are installable on the hard drive
Oh yeah.
and not using WHD load, which not everything is. Inside of it, I bought this little board that fits on the IDE port inside the Amiga, and I have a 4 gigabyte compact flash card sitting inside of it, and it works. It's fine. It's not fast by any means. It's fine though. It's good enough for this, and I've been going through getting it ready. I had to reinstall the OS again because I screwed up the settings on the hard drive. So now there's a bug, or the IDE hard drive controller can only handle so much data at a time. So you actually have to tell it, don't write more than this amount of stuff. You have a max transfer rate. And I didn't set that, which SCSI doesn't need it, but the IDE does. So what happens is it'll write it and try that the higher than what it's supposed to be max transfer rate, but it'll just corrupt all the files when you're doing it, and you won't know it until you try to go use them. So I fixed it, reformatted the drive again, because I didn't know what state it was in, and reinstalled OS 3.1. So that was a this morning project, actually, and now I'm starting to put games back on it. Because it'll be fine if you're copying a whole bunch of little files, it's okay. But as soon as you get a big file, yeah, it's going to get corrupt partway through.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's because
how awesome.
Yeah, and it's just, so those are the only 2 add-ons I have in it at this point. There'll be, that memory comes hopefully tomorrow, so I'll put that in there, and I'm going to take it as is. The accelerator that we got with it didn't work. It doesn't boot up.
No.
So there's something going on with that. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And I don't have any RGB to HDMI. I'm just plugging in the normal stuff out, and it's just I'm gonna play with it, and I'm still loading it, and I'm hoping people are gonna like it, and it is what it is. So as a test, when you get here, we're gonna set it up downstairs, and we're gonna play some games on it.
Oh yay! I like that plan.
So I wanted you to be aware that was the plan, because you're the pre-test before me taking it to the show.
Dude, that's going to be great. And I'm telling you, I'm really curious to hear the stories of people that say, I had one, or I knew someone that had one. As we've talked about this unit, it's the redheaded stepchild of the Amiga line, is the best way it feels. Like everyone goes, it's the Amiga that could have been an Amiga. And it sounds like it might actually be pretty rare, because it maybe didn't sell a lot. And the ones who did get it maybe didn't take care. I don't know. I'm really curious to hear your stories. I want to hear what people say about
it. If anyone says anything at all about it, we'll see.
Oh, they will.
I mean, they're just going to play with it. So I'm going to have a couple things on it. I've always had too much installed before. Now it's going to be a much smaller collection of things to run. And I've been having some fun with it. I've been playing some pinball this morning. My wife just came in and laughed at me, because you're just like having a great time, and it's really a good time. So those are some of the stuff I've been enjoying. What have you been doing?
Dude, let's talk about enjoyment. Let's talk about getting into my new book, the Commodore 64 Games Book by Clifford and Mark Ramshaw, which sold at Encore Books for $14.95 way back when. I can't. When was this? Let's see when it was made. Let's see when this.
Where did you get it? I'm
holding physical media. That is the first printing of 83. So this is 19. This was about when I was getting into Commodore, bro. This is crazy. I got this out of one of your hauls that you shipped to me. So really? When you had a Craigslist haul and sent it my way, this was one of the books in there. So that's how I got hold of this. I just started on the text adventure side of life and realized I need to start doing some other things and doing some other ideas, and maybe even incorporating some graphics in with the text adventure. That last one, I did a basic rocket taking off at the end when you're successful. And that was just so ChatGPT helped me a little. And but I, maybe doing some other things within the idea of that. So a lot of fun. So I started reading it. And dude, the first program, this is the first time I've ever seen this. back in the Commodore day. Now you may go, oh yeah, Rich, totally used to do this. They included a checksum program as your first program. So when you get done with the checksum program, you run it and it tells you the number, the value, just like checksum works today. You compare it to what's in the book and you go, I wrote it right. So now when you go to write all the rest of the programs, if you didn't do something right, your checksum value is not going to match.
That's awesome. I've never. Boom. I was a lot younger at that point in time when we were doing that, and I never really. That would have been way more than I would have thought about. I just wanted to type stuff in and make it work. I would have never thought of the checksum at that point.
I thought that was incredible. I was like, wow, these guys are really thinking ahead. I remember out of the magazines. I remember out of this. I just don't remember them having a checksum. And maybe they did. Maybe everybody tell me, like, comment, subscribe below. Tell me, dear listener, were there checksum programs back then? I don't know. But I thought that was really cool. That's going to be the first thing I'll do tonight is just write that program up real quick. And they're all very short snippet games, but they're trying to get across different ideas. Some look colorish, some don't look colorish. But yeah, just more expanding my basic programming knowledge.
That's awesome. I'm glad that I was able to find it. I didn't remember. I know I've sent you a lot of 64 stuff. And I'm glad you guys getting a new life.
Yeah. Because
that's awesome that you're actually using it and it's not just sitting on a shelf like a lot of my books are. And that's actually really cool. I love it. I'm really looking forward to see what you come up with it.
Dear listener, there will be a link if you want to go check it out on archive.org. It is up there if you want to take a look at that book yourself. But I'm going to use the hard copy like I was back when I was 14 years old.
Right. Love it. Love it.
Oh, so give me just a second. I cut this part. Hold on. My robot's kicking off. My cleaning robot. And it's going to come in here to vacuum. So let me pause it and send it home. Sundays when I have it do this one. Pause. And pause. There it paused. And now and it's going to be really loud on this hard floor. Send home. There it goes. Okay. You were going to segue us. So start with your segue.
So you had awesome vintage tech, and you're going to do some other vintage stuff where it's still tech, but not a 1 and a 0 tech.
Oh.
How's the VW, man?
I sent Ryan a picture where I had to take a wrench and a C-clamp, and I had to C-clamp the wrench down at the top of a nut because I was trying to loosen it from the bottom, and I don't have two people. So I C-clamped a wrench down and went underneath and undid it. Luckily, VWs have lots of holes in them, so you can do that. Other cars, you can't get a C-clamp on. So,
That's awesome.
Just like your keyboard, bro. And dear listener, this is the VW update. I ordered all the parts I thought I needed, and then they all came in, and I realized I didn't have all the parts, so I ordered more parts. And so those parts came in last week. So today was teardown, and everything's looking good, man. I now know why it wasn't working right, because they definitely didn't use the right parts. It's like they took an old hinge and bolted it to the floor, and like a book binding, you open a book, the top cover. So they bound the bottom to the VW, and then they took the original pedal, kind of jerry-rigged it to where it would then hinge, but it wasn't in the right spot, and it didn't have the right angle of descent. And so all that time, it was just putting bad pressure on that linkage rod. And now I'm going to be able to do it right. I'm going to drill 2 new holes. I got all the right equipment. I'm going to put it to where it's centered above where it needs to go, so all the weight is distributed down and not like to the right. And I'm going to use all the right hinging. So, but to finish, I need another set of hands. So Sarah's coming over next week. Monday night, I think we'll finish this up. I need someone to hold a few things while I mark holes, because I just can't do it all at once myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so this is for the accelerator pedal, because I know a while ago you had issues with it, and you guys were actually pseudo-stranded sans an amazing amount of duct tape. I saw the picture to make this thing work because you guys were using the van to go camping like what it's supposed to be. So you say you have to draw new holes or drill new holes. You can't use the ones that are there?
This was originally welded. This plate was originally welded to the floorboard, and I can see where the old plate was now that I understand it a little better. And the replacement plate has holes to be bolted. So it was because it's a replacement of that. Now I could maybe unweld the old plate and weld in a new plate, but dude, I went to the Home Depot and they were a number 10 perfect. There will be no shimmy with those bolts. They are going to be so on point. And of course, I have lock nuts, and I'll use all thread. What's the Loctite? I'll use Loctite and lock nuts. So it's going to be tight and be really good. But it will be a modification compared to what original, because it looks like the original one snapped at some point. As I was doing my archaeology, I could see it snapped. I could see how they used this fake hinge, that they had to use holes that were offset because they were too close together. It was just a mess, man. But at least I'll put it to where it's a replacement part for this project. I mean, it's not a part I just found that's random. It's a VW part that is to be done this way. So
No, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about them. I mean, I get in the car, hit the little button that starts, and we're off.
That's right.
And that's about what I'm doing. What maintenance do I do? Change the cabin air filter, windshield wiper fluid, and windshield wiper blades. Outside of that, I don't really got a whole lot else. I have an EV, so don't worry about the oil changing. That's not a thing.
Dude, is your cabin filter easy to get to?
Yeah, it's right behind the glove box. So you open the glove compartment, you squeeze in, move around a little bit. I watch a 5-minute YouTube video every time to figure out where to push in, and that thing pops out, the other one pulls out, put the other one in, snap the stuff back. I think there's actually some little washer too. But
some cars, that's quite an operation to change a cabin filter. That it's not that easy. That's awesome, dude. Because they have so much more room to play with because they didn't have a big old engine and a big old all the big old engine parts to deal with in that area. They were able to make that really cool. That's nice.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. And I do have to go change them. It's been a year, so that's the thing. And they're super cheap. I mean, I think they're like $10-20 a piece. I buy the high end one, and I'm supposed to filter like pollen and all that garbage too.
Well, I will have to. Someday I need an EV, dude. I just want an EV. They're just so cool. They're cool. They're very cool, especially that smart drive, which we will be testing very shortly on our way up to System Source. We
may be taking my car, not my wife's car.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, then we'll have to pay attention the rest of the way, and we can. Yes. Well, it would be harder to record an episode on the way home in the car.
Not really.
Well, that's true. That was funny though. We did. So maybe we will. We'll record another episode on the way back. That worked out really good. So
we can do that.
Yeah, I think that kind of brings me to a close. Anything else on your calendar of items, Mr. Ryan?
No, I think this is a good place. Looking forward to, from the recording date, you'll be out here in less than 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And by this time we're recording it, we've already gone to System Source and recorded this episode, that next episode that you've talked about.
Yeah. Woohoo! Can't wait to talk about that place. I am so excited to go. Soggy loves it. Everyone loves it. I can't wait to see it.
It's a great place. The owner's amazing. Bob, he's fantastic. And the whole team there is great. Not just him, but everybody there is really good. It's a great environment. If you're ever here on the East Coast in Maryland, it's right around Baltimore area. That highly recommend it. I can't talk enough good things about it. They're really cool people. So yeah, definitely go check it out. We'll put a link in the show notes for it as well.
All right, be good. Hey everybody, have a good one. Thanks.
Have a great day.
Bye, Larry.